Here are the Special Program 3.0 codes. They're also going to be down in the description for copy pasting. Put them in very quickly, they expire very quickly as well. Now into the summary. Starting off with the most important news, the banners. Phase 1 will have dual banners of Tighnari and Zhongli with Collei on the banner. Not confirmed what are the other two characters, but probably someone okay, I hope. And then second phase of 3.0 will have Kokomi Sangonomiya as well as a Ganyu rerun with Dori on that banner with the other two characters not specified. Guides for the characters will be created when they are released in 3.0. As for new weapons, we only have one new 5-star weapon, the Hunter's Path, which is signature for Tighnari, as well as the Trawler, which I presume is going to be from an event. I didn't actually quite catch where it was, but presumably from the event as well as part of the fishing series of events. Their descriptions will be on the screen, so pause at your own leisure. We're also getting 3 new important enemies. 2 of them are bosses. The first one is the Jade Shroom Thunderbloom, or the green bird thing, which I'll have a guide for on the release of the patch, as well as the Electro Regisvine, obviously following in series with the Regisvines. Also a guide for this one on the launch of the patch. But the third enemy is I believe it's called a Gargoyle, which is going to be a very interesting enemy, an open world ruin enemy, which has an adaptive system that means dealing more electro damage gives it more electro resistance, so you need a variety of elements in your party to effectively deal with this enemy. Next we have the Dendro Reactions. This is going to be a bit more of a word/text dump, so you can read on screen if you can understand it, or if you can understand me, go ahead. But we have 3 new reactions: Burning, which you already knew of, which is Fire and Dendro. Then we have Bloom, Dendro and Hydro, and then we have Catalyze, which is Dendro and Electro. They all have unique effects, obviously. Dendro and Pyro Burning is essentially just taking damage, we all know that one. But Dendro and Hydro causes blooming, which causes a Dendro core to spawn, which there's a limit on how many you can have of these up, and after a while they explode, or once you exceed the limit they explode forcefully. But then on top of that there is an extra reaction that you can cause with Pyro and Electro. If you combine Pyro and a Dendro core, that will cause it to explode early, dealing more damage in a larger radius. But if you use Electro, that will cause sprawling shots, which will just have the Dendro core kind of shoot out homing missiles onto the nearest enemy. And then the final reaction, Electro and Dendro, which is Catalyzed, but for some reason they also call it Quickened. And after you cause this reaction, the enemy is thus then quickened. That is the effect now put on them after Electro and Dendro. And then if you combine the Quickened effect with Electro, that will cause the enemy to be aggravated, or the aggravate effect, which will increase that specific hit's electro damage, thus making this kind of like a one massive hit build. The same thing can be done with Quickened and Dendro. I can't remember the name of that effect, but Quickened and Dendro and Quickened and Electro do the same thing, but just for their respective element. And the last category, the events. First major event of the patch is Graven Innocence, which will let you get a free copy of Collei, which is quite a great Dendro applicator that character is going to be with her elemental burst. As for the gameplay of the event, it's quite bog standard for Genshin Impact. Just kind of do random tasks around the open world, like jumping puzzles, a bit of a grapple hook here, maybe kill some enemies, maybe take some pictures of the wildlife. The event is treating it like you're understanding the world, so it's going to be quite cool to understand the world, but as for gameplay creativity, it's doing absolutely zero. Next one, Phase Trials. This one's a bit more interesting though. You go into a combat domain and you can kind of take pictures of enemies mid-combat and kill them instantly by doing this. It's kind of a cool take on taking pictures as well as combining combat. I'm hoping this one has a bit of exciting gameplay, maybe new enemies and a bit of fun. No interesting rewards from this one though, just some generic stuff. Next one, Tablet Analytics, I believe it's called. Just another generic event, I believe more combat. You have different effects that you can get randomly whilst just fighting a bunch of enemies in a domain, and this will just kind of do damage. It's kind of it was just kind of enemies dying on the screen, so I didn't really get it, but just killing enemies really easily. You also do have free trial characters for this one. You don't actually have to have any of your own characters, which is kind of dumb, but whatever. Last event though, Lost Riches, which is a very cool event that gives a nice cosmetic for those who wasn't able to get the other Sealies or the other floating Sealies. From this event you can get yourself one floating companion, but the new addition of a green one is in this event, but you can also get the other colors if you so choose. I myself am going for green because of collector. But that actually wasn't the last event. We also have the returning Leyline Overflow, one of the greatest events in history and one of the most rerun events in Genshin history. But that's everything to do with the special program. Now, I want to take the last, 2 to 3 minutes of this video and just kind of talk about first impressions of what's going to happen in 3.0. And let me tell you right now, the gameplay is not going to be anything out of the ordinary. It's going to be your bog standard, generic, classic Andy gameplay for Genshin Impact. You have characters, you kill enemies. It's not really changing that. The Dendro Reactions sound really, really cool. I'm excited for the Burgian, which is the Dendro core, as well as the Pyro reaction. But I'm also excited to see what Quicken does and see if we can actually reach any cool higher numbers with these like single hit reactions. But the limiting factor is that it's only for specific reactions. There's no Dendro Gia reaction from my understanding. There's no Dendro Anima reaction. So it's quite limiting in your usage. You can't really combo anything, but I guess it is, expanding the gameplay in different areas, maybe making Electro a bit more of a main DPS in some areas. But that's fine, whatever. The events are going to be crazy. The gameplay isn't going to be crazy, but the main feature, the big feature for the event is the world. We're going to have a massive world to explore, and they went into a massive spiel in the stream or in the live stream special program, a spiel about the world design and what it's going to feel like exploring and going through these different regions. One region is in perpetual rain, which that's going to be miserable. Who wants to live in the UK for god-awful reasons? And then other regions are going to look different and feel different. There's like a mushroom area. There's a withering decay area. It's all just going to be great from my understanding. The exploration, the first time you explore the region, going to be great. But once you're done with that, it's going to go back to being Genshin Impact. Until 3.1, which is going to then introduce probably the next zone, and then 3.2, which is the next zone. And obviously the quests, I forgot to mention the quests in the actual video, but I guess I mentioned them here. The Archon quests are being released over the first three patches, 3.0, 0.1, and 0.2. You'll get all the Archon quests, which will then expand on the whole Sumeru stuff, much like Inazuma. The Inazuma structure is then being copy-pasted to Sumeru. Just look at it that way. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And yeah, that's my first impressions of the patch, I guess, and the special program. Is like it's going to be a very fun one the day it launches, and also if you're an up-to-date player, if you're a new player, you're probably not even going to experience Sumeru for a very long time, so I don't even really know why they're kind of trying to make it a bit more of an entry-level patch, but you're not even going to experience it for at least the next 3 months because you have 3 months of content to catch up on, which is all of Mondstadt through to Inazuma. Takes quite a while, so it is what it is. Gotta now end the video because we're coming up to that 8-minute marker. Oh, I think it's 8 minutes right about soon. Let's prolong that video just for a bit longer, maybe to hit that monetization mark. Why not? Let's be a bit of a self-promotional Andy and say, hey, sub to the channel as well, like the video, support the channel because it's a bit of a fun time here. We're playing Honkai Genshin. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next video. Peace out. Bye-bye.